of. So today's class is going to be the errors and exceptions. In every programming, in programming, errors and exceptions are so common. So it is so common to commit errors. The error is something which is done by the user, and exception is something which is identified the program as a matter of probability. In Java, both errors and exceptions are the subclass of Java lang throwable. Throwable is a class. Lang is a, package or module, whatever it is. Java is the base Java base. And from lang, there is a class called throwable. And this will take care of the errors and exceptions. This class, throwable, there is a keyword called throws. THROWS, throws. So there are many ways to handle the errors and exceptions in Java. Okay, one of the ways is to catch the. There is a try catch blocks. These are actually the twin blocks. There are two blocks. There is a try block and catch block. So these exceptions and errors are caught with the help of these try catch blocks. That is practice. Practically, we use try catch. And this try catch blocks, that's one way. The other way is throws. But all of them, as in theory, all of them falls under this class throwable. All of them are throwable. Try catch also capture the error or exception, and it is thrown. It's thrown. They are all throwable. In Java, it is simply called as throwable class. Error refers to an illegal operation performed by the user which results in the abnormal working of the program. So error, there is. So if somebody asks you this question, like what is the distinction between the error and the exception? So error is something which is done by the user. So whenever some error happens, it simply means that the user has missed the logic. There is a problem in the logic. When I write the program, if some error occurs, which means I did a mistake in my logic. So anything that happens from the user is what is called the error. Programming errors often remain undetected until the program is compiled or executed. This is actually both pros and cons. It is both an opportunity as well as weakness. In C and Java, so errors will be detected only after compilation. But in Python and R, it is not like that. They are interpreted languages. In interpreted languages, errors will be detected then and there, and the execution will be stopped. So we'll know because they are instruction by instruction. All of you studied R. In R, we use the interpreter. In Python, we use the interpreter. It's also possible to compare. Though we say that the Python is a interpreter-based language and Java is a compiler-based language. Actually, these two things. This is a vague statement. Python also compiles. There is a compiler. There are discussions, and you can just go online. So R. So there is a very thin line between this demarcation. The difference between these two words, compiler and these two things, compiler and interpreter. They are very thin. Sometimes interpreter compiles and sometimes compiler interprets. This all happens inside. But in C Java, what happens since they compile the program, we'll not be knowing the error of the program until we finish the whole. That is actually the demerit in these programming languages. So that is why writing programs in Python is easy. R is easy because they are interpreter based. Compile time error. This is an example for the compile time error. I don't know. I just only, there are two examples here. Java program illustrates errors. Okay, infinite recursion. Infinite recursion. Infinite recursion is, okay. I just only copied this. This is class 1. Let's see what is being written here. So this is class 1. Class Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is the. Don't ask me what is this actually. This is an example which I obtained from the Stack Overflow portal. There somebody did write the example like this. This is a simple example. This has nothing to do with. I already spoken to you how to handle the exceptions in statistics. Somebody tell me how do we handle the exceptions in statistics while performing the data analysis. So there is a public static method that is test, and it accepts one argument, and if this argument is 0, return nothing. Else test I plus plus, and it just increases. Okay, no correct, not correct, as base condition leads to non-stop recursion. It keeps executing, it will not stop. And then we got another class. I mean, this is a single file. So this is a single file. Usually, when we execute the programs in command line, we write all the classes will be modeled inside a single file. So public class GFG, this is geeks for geeks. I got the file. And it's a main class Stack Overflow test. So what is the Stack Overflow? This one, Stack Overflow, and the method test. Now what happens? We just keep going there, testing for an error by passing customer integer as an argument. I don't know what is the output, but I should say. Now, second example, class. There is a class called GFG, and in main method, there are variables A, B, C. Okay, if A greater than B, A greater than, okay, this is actually the I think big number Java program to illustrate runtime errors, main class. Main driver, and then initializing is the largest number. So this is actually the program for finding the largest number. If A greater than B, A greater than C, then A should be the largest number. And if B greater than A and B, then B should be the largest number, else C should be the largest number. So this is I don't know what is the problem with this. The correct message should have been system out println. Okay, then what is it here? System out println. The correct message should have been system out println. B plus is the largest number to make logic. System out println. System out println. System out println. Where is the problem? So the output is 8 is the largest number. What is actually the largest? Yeah, 8 is the largest number. What is the problem here? What is the error here? There is no error. There is no error. It seems. This is an infinite loop. That is only fine. Without unchecked type of the some of the examples of errors are out of memory errors. System crash errors. This crash outundi cheptunnadu this fellow. I don't know how it is. Let me open Eclipse. I think this is an infinite loop. There is no loop at all here. Main memory loop. I think there is no loop here. How is it going to crash? Let's see. It's not crash actually. That is something different. As discussion in the errors. As far as my brain is concerned, everything is okay with this. There is a method test, okay, and this just test I is equal to 0, then return nothing else I plus plus. And suppose if you give 5 here, and that is going to become 6. That's it. This is something else, some other class. In main class, we are just calling it static overflow, and we are just calling it there. That is not going to be a big thing. Let's see where is the problem. And all those individuals who ever have the Java Eclipse, and you can start doing this. I already shared this textbook with you. Open the textbook and copy this code. Don't copy the code, but try to write the code and see where the error appears. I don't think there is any error here. Let's see. The output was stundi. Now exceptions, now let us dwell on the exceptions, which indicates conditions that a reasonable application might want to catch. Conditions that a reasonable application might want to catch. Okay, it's open now. So there are 2 types of exceptions, checked exceptions, unchecked exceptions. What is the example for the checked exception? IO exception is an example for the checked exceptions. Unchecked is unchecked exception. File not found, or checked exceptions like IO exception known to the compiler at compile time, while unchecked exceptions like array index out of bound exception is not known. But manaki question into sir, what are all these exceptions? How do we know? That is the question. I think I have given all these list. Because the list of the, I think I have the list of all these exceptions in types. That's one of the important questions. What are the different types of exceptions? Write a brief note or something like that. So array index out of bounds. Suppose if you have an array of size 5 and then if we inject a value at 6, then Java will throw an exception. It's throw, it's not raise. So throw an exception. Array index out of bound. So there are examples. Okay, let's shall we write this program? I call this as all of you, whoever has Java exception test. Yes, and then in exceptions test, I am going to create a file, a class. I don't want main method here. Exception test. I want main method in another class. So there is an exception test, and then there is a main. There's a main class. We call it as main class. In main class, I want main method. In exception test, what happens is, so here it is called stack overflow. We don't need to do that. Public static void. I will type everything. Public static void test in I. Am I right? Int I. And what is going to if I is equal to 0? I think yeah. It should not be equal to 0. Here the double is equal to, yeah. Correct. Program is correct. Then return nothing. So that, okay. Else oh, adhe kusama. Yeah, return call the same function. Can we call it? Let's see. So this is actually the class exception test. That's over. Right? Now what we need to do, let's go to the main class and test it. So the main class, where is the main class here? So go here. So as per the theory, it is I can call exception test. Okay, dot. Oh, it's coming. I don't need to instantiate, I guess. So now it is. Let me put 5. The system it's not printing, right? So we need to print something. Now, as far as my brain is concerned, why the method println boolean in the type print stream is not applicable for the argument void. Okay, yes, that is actually not. So we are not supposed to write the println. Okay. There is a void method. It's not. It's telling me that you cannot use because it's not going to. It's a void method. Void method makes nothing. The void method several times we printed, right? Let's see. Why should we make that? Nothing happens. Oh, there is an exception. Let's see what is the exception. Exception is stack overflow error. Okay. Exception test Java stack overflow error. This is it's not an exception. I'm sorry. This is an error. Stack overflow error. Exception in thread main. Main is a thread. This is multi-threading. So main is going to create a thread. In that thread, there is an error. And the name of the error is stack overflow error. That is why there is stack overflow. This is not that one. This is actually, this type of error is called, I told you no, actually you cannot use this. So suppose if I go here, let me say it. Written if I is equal to 0, then we need to print the correct system. We need to print that. I think we have to use. Let's see. The input is invalid. I'm just trying to, correct the logic in the code. It will ask me try. I think it should ask me return statement. Okay. Just return statement or type to void. why should I change it to written statement? Okay. So here, okay, intern kabatti some written. So ikkada return లేదు కాబట్టి ఇక్కడ రిటర్న్ చేయమని చెప్తారు. ఎక్కడో దగ్గర రిటర్న్ చేయమని చెప్తారు. Okay, that's fine. Now test I and then going to be I. If this is going to return I, but still there is an error here. Error పోయింది. ఇప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది? Now it is returning the value. Let's see. Okay, I'll just run this. Still there is stack overflow. Stack overflow. It's not happening. Why? Because this one is the problem here. మనం ఏం చేయాలంటే ఇది టెస్ట్ మెథడ్ కదా, సో we are just using so test call for this test and I11. And what is this test? It didn't know what it is. Test అనేది తెలియదు, ఎందుకంటే టెస్ట్ లో టెస్ట్ పెట్టాం కాబట్టి it's not going to happen. ఇక్కడ మనం ఏం చేయొచ్చు అంటే I plus is equal to I. Let's see. ఏం రాదు, అది సైలెంట్ అయిపోయింది. ఎందుకు సైలెంట్ అయింది? This is correct logic. ఎందుకు వచ్చింది? 5 అదే వచ్చింది. I plus is equal to I, yeah, I ichana, yeah, I ichana 1. Okay, 5 plus 5, 10 I. So it should be 6 kada. Now how? Yes, 6. Enduku stack overflow indi? This is actually one of the errors. Adi compile time error. Now compile time error. So what is the difference? What was the error earlier? I am writing a method called test and I'm using the same method inside the method, which is going to, this is an error. This will throws an error called stack overflow error. And that is an example. The stack overflow, and this is an example for the stack overflow error. So error is something which is done by the user. User mistake is an error. So what was the mistake? I use the, so now the Java, I'm confusing Java. I'm writing a method and I'm using the same method inside a method. Like kind of, so which is not this type of error is called stack overflow error. You have to be cautious. You cannot use the same name inside the method. This is correct. This is correct. So earlier ఏమైంది? ఇక్కడ రిటర్న్ ఉంది. Now ఇక్కడ ఏమైంది? What was the point here? So what are we trying to do? Same test and then I plus plus. In Java I plus plus works. The void. So void will be. Now it should be. There is no error. You know that this. It's not showing me. Now the error is here. System. This is void method. Don't use in chapter. Okay, fine. I want to listen. Now you see nowhere there is an error. Eclipse is not showing me anywhere any error. So now what is my impression? My logic is correct. I think that my logic, actually this is not the logic. I've shown you the real logic. Okay, there is no error anywhere. So sometimes when we write the program, this type of errors occurs. In our brain, we are correct, but whereas while we will not be knowing the error until we compile the program. If we compile this F11 compile, now the error comes up. Now you will be under confusion, sir. Everything is okay. Everything is okay, but where is the stack overflow error? Now, if you want to know what is the stack overflow error, then you have to go. There is an infinite loop over there. There is a test comes and when it goes, okay, fine. So in main, exception test is a class and in which we have a method. Fine. So it goes to exception test. Exception test. There is a method test, and it comes inside. Where is this test? So when the control is executing this test, what is again this test? So I should have, I need to have another method here, public static void, something else. Somebody is trying to talk to me, it seems. So though the program appears to be free from errors, but there exists an error. This is of the type, Stack Overflow error. Anybody is trying to talk to me? Now let's go ahead. So this is one time of compile time error. This is compile time that we're doing. So when we compile the program, that time itself, no. And this one, I don't know what is the. So Java program to illustrate runtime error. This is runtime error. Yes, this is not compile time error. See how? So there are variables here. Logic is everything seems to be correct. That is what I said. When I read this program, I didn't find any. This was the mistake. Test and test. This was the mistake. So when I looked at the program, in general, I could not find. But when I compiled it, I found the error. This is for the runtime error. Runtime error, ella mistake avutundi. You see the arguments here. So everything is clear. Now the output will be 8. Suppose if I change arguments, like something else, whatever it is. If I change the arguments, suppose if I give 2, 2, 2. Then you should see what's going to happen when you compile the program. When you run the program, compile is okay. Compiling is okay. This is not going to do anything during the time of compilation. But when you run the program for different arguments, it will throw errors. It will throw errors. And avoid చేయడానికి మనం ఏం చేస్తామంటే ఇక్కడ ఈ క్లాస్ లో థ్రోస్ అని పెడతా ఉన్నాం. Runtime error అట్లా వెళ్తుంటాం. So fine. And exceptions, there are 2 types of exceptions. Exception example is this. Exceptions are always, handled with a block couple called try catch. So in errors, we don't have a try catch. Error is the problem in the logic. But exceptions, if somebody, if we suspect that, there may be a problem, there may be a problem, and the problem is known to the user, then we can use try catch. So here there is a 0 division error. You see here A is 5 and B is 0, and arithmetic exception. This is an arithmetic exception. So what happens is, it is a class. Java program illustrating exception thrown by arithmetic exception class. There are different types of exceptions. Error, I don't think that. So exception, there are different errors. See here, 0 division error. You see here, we are dividing A with B. B is 0. Now this is arithmetic exception, and there is another exception called 0 division error exception. There is an exception. A special exception is there. But whatever the exception is an arithmetic exception, and this is the way we catch the exception. Try for this logic. If any exception happens, unknown, unwanted. So that is what exception is, unknown, unpredictable. We can't predict the error. Try for this. If something goes wrong, then throw that exception here. We don't need to. I still have the time. I'll try for this. I want to show you this one. Here there is a simple statement called e.print stack trace, but there are innumerable of ways to manage this logic. If something goes wrong, then do anything and everything whatever you want. Web development like I will create this is only a class, right? It's a class. I don't know, yeah, it is a class. It's inside a class, a single class. So I can example, I can create a class. And this class is going to be arithmetic test, exception test. Okay, and it's going to have the main method because we don't need to. It didn't have. It has the main method. I'm going to handle that inside this class itself. Now what happens? Int A is some number. Maybe I can call 1. Int B I can call 0. And then come down here. Now int C is equal to A divided by B. Okay. So yeah, it's accepted. Now return C. Main method. Okay, fine. Return C. Now there is a change return. What is it? You know, it's not written. System printer. It's not going to. It's not a method, right? System printer. Let's see. Everything is okay, right? So as far as our, it's not a method actually. I'm doing it in main method. I could have, even in addition, and I can create a method for addition and then come and use that. So I'm straight away doing this here. And Java infer no error. I don't know. Let's see. There is an exception. See, arithmetic exception. Java like arithmetic exception. This is a class. So as far as when we are writing the code, Java shows us nothing. The exception. If it's not like the exception, it's not an error. Earlier it was not like that. It was an error. What was that error? Stack overflow error. That was an error. But whereas this is an exception. This is unwanted kind of. Now, in order to avoid that, what I can do is try. Okay, and come here, and then try for this and catch if at all something goes wrong. Okay, since I know this arithmetic exception, if arithmetic exception E happens, then what you do is brackets. So what you do is print the E, I don't know, stack, print stack trace. Then what? What do I need to? Okay, E print stack, print element. I think that itself is an output statement. Okay, now, so now it is going to same other errors. So this is actually, there is an arithmetic exception, and it is telling us 0 divide by 0. Earlier, was it there earlier? I don't know. I should check. Now what happens here? Catch arithmetic exception E. Then I can do whatever I want to do. System out println. You can divide. This is the the facility given by Java. Try catch load facility. You can divide a number with by 0. Divide by 0. You can divide a number with 0. Think of English. You can't divide a number with 0. That's it. What the point? So this is actually earlier it was not like this. So it is possible to catch the exception, and we can customize the error messages. So that was being provided by Java through try catch blocks. Exceptions we can catch the exceptions. Can be caught. Something like that. Okay, I'm going to close the class here.